jump into this. Let's see what happens. As we do have up 4-1 to the top right-hand side of the map here on 16-bit. I really love the kind of the aesthetics of this map, although it's probably one of the maps that's been vetoed more than others throughout the course of the event. To the top right-hand side, our blue Terran is INnoVation. And to the bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg is soO. Alright, so let's see what happens here. I do have a couple of shouts to make. I'm just going to do these very quickly because I feel bad for not getting them during the last break. I just got a little bit caught up hosting up the lobby. So very quickly, just to move through a couple of these donations. DD comes in for the $5 donation. Says hello from Canada. Hello DD, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the $5. Tossboy F91, as we have some Chinese donations coming in again with the $2.33. Thank you very much. And the $1 from SC Girl 2. Thank you so much for the donations, everybody. Appreciate the support. Can get some body hearts in the chat as well for Sasuke 007 with the Twitch Prime sub just coming in as well. Thank you very much. Do appreciate the support. Get some body hearts in the chat for our new supporters, subscribers. Welcome to the family. Thank you very much. Alright then, Game 5. I was saying Game 6, wasn't I? But this is Game 6, so I was right. Go Wardy. I was correct the first time around. Correcting myself, and I don't need correcting. What can I say? We're going to see a setup here initially, which is going to be moving towards probably a macro-focused game. I mean, this map does kind of support macro-focused playstyles more so than anything else, as the command center comes down with the in-base expansion, the only map in the map contest with an in-base expansion available. This map by the Music 246, and again, I love it, the red and blue. I mean, I think for me, I really do just love the aesthetics of clean-cut maps, simple, nothing too much going on. I like this kind of like little edging thing. Digital Frontier has the same sort of setup. I just think it's cool. It's simple, there's not a lot going on, and it's just clean. And for me, that looks very nice. I like the way the map's laid out. But it is a very large map, and that is one of the issues here that a lot of players are finding. Such a large map, and that's probably one of the reasons it found itself being vetoed so heavily up until this, well, throughout the tournament basically. We did actually take quite a while. This was the final map to be played in this tournament originally. It took us until day 2, I believe, to actually see a game on 16-bit, and quite a few series into game 2 as well. As you see that link speed coming up, going to be finishing in just a couple moments. Starport coming through as well in the main base, as the Tech Lab also on the way now currently on the barracks. So Tech Lab setting up, getting ready to go as this overload of soO poking in towards the natural expansion. I'm intrigued to see what kind of style INnoVation plays here on 16-bit. This was a map he played mech on against Nurchio yesterday in the semi-finals. So is it going to be a map he's going to look to play mech on once again today? Well, that barracks moving so far away from the Tech Lab could be an indicator, but it could also be... I mean, we've seen it before where the barracks now just builds up its own second Tech Lab of the game and actually sticks on that one. And this could just be pulling back this way, just so you can kind of hide away there and actually keep it away from kind of Overlord vision or Zerglings scouting up the ramp. As we see a medevac, we haven't actually seen a medevac so far, so an armory should come down too. We are going to see a little bit of a Hellbat attack, maybe with Hellbats dropping into the main base, or maybe just straight up with an attack where the medevac is there to bring in some healing. Again, the Reaper and the Hellions for now just on the map, and of course looking to see what they can do. It's an awkward one to attack on though, because there's only one place to attack, so it's very easy for soO to get a defense up, I feel, as he goes straight into the lair here, by the way, and maybe looking for once again the fastest sort of Hydroling Bane play, which we have seen previously from soO as well. Starting to set up in towards that. And we're just going to be seeing the Hellions moving around the right, and again this Zergling coming up the right side as well. Actually going to go scout, and we'll maybe see just a little bit of what's going on, especially if he gets into the main base. soO makes the dive, and oh my god, how did that happen? INnoVation lifts the depots just in time, even though one of them was like halfway down, I feel. Currently just some of these Hellbats sat on the edge of the creepers. Now the Medevac dropping these Hellions in towards the natural expansion as well. And this is where the damage really could start being done as he lifts up one of those damaged Hellbats to get it away from the surround, drops it back down. Needs to be a little bit careful with, and he does get a Queen and some Zerglings so far. On the natural, the Queens are starting to kite backwards and needs to keep on doing that. Cannot afford to lose too much here, soO. There's more Zerglings on the way out, but maybe just a little bit too late. Caught off guard perhaps by this attack, and now, I mean, as the Queens fall, the Zerglings reinforcing maybe will not be able to be enough fast enough. As behind this +1 vehicle weapons coming up on the armory, and well, a transition here from INnoVation, which will continue into mech play. soO is starting to deflect this actually. This is going a little bit better than I thought. He still has the triple Hellbat in the natural expansion or the back base, which could be a bit of an issue as you do see those Lings running in, and they will be able to push this away. In the end, it's not so bad, but losing pretty much every Queen, it's still not brilliant. You can see that resources loss is heavily in INnoVation's favor. I think when I say it's not so bad, I kind of mean like, okay, soO's going to survive to fight another day, but he might not look brilliant while doing so, because he's definitely going to be at a deficit here with that bad of a trade early. And going into a Spire against the mech, especially a mech setup which is looking to be probably double 4 in the near future, reactor on the starport, the tech labs on the factories, I don't think this Spire is really going to work out for soO at all, but I mean, I guess we'll see, but right now I just don't really feel so hopeful. Going to be seeing these, well, Creep Teamer at the front is already taking just a little bit of damage. These couple of Queens moving forwards as well, and just sitting on the front of this base. And there's extra couple of 4s from INnoVation continue to come on in, and just going to be seeing this Mule or 2 also getting set up for INnoVation right now. Well, Spire is now finished, right? So soO makes the choice if he wants to go into the mutas or not, which he will. I mean, he's got money stacked up and no other tech to build on. A little bit supply blocked here, which is probably why he's just waiting for the Overlord to finish so he can build all those mutas at once, although he's still supply blocked on 98 over 98. And that is brutal for him. As you see, 7 of these mutas coming through. You know, Hellions onto the 4th base already, so... Well, Hellions already sat on the 4th, as you see a couple of Hellbats back in towards this backhand position. And harassing the mineral line of the lair here. And she's just going to get back here, and I think that's going to have to be a cancel on the 4th. And again, the mutas are about to pop, but does he really want to reveal the mutas onto these Hellbats and the Medevac? Well, I guess it wouldn't be so bad, because he would actually pick up a kill. Where the mutas currently just gathering out towards the natural and actually heading up north. So he's not going to reveal them on the Hellions. Those Hellions are maybe going to get ready to dive, but the Lings are spread out and ready to deal with it. And I guess, put it this way, if those 4s are coming across the map to harass, and the mutas are in the mineral lines, that could be some good damage, although a missile turret in the natural, there is nothing in the main base though, so definitely a weakness there for INnoVation. As soO arrives with those first Mutalisks, he will go towards the main base mineral line instead to check for turrets, and he will find himself the opportunity now to get some SCVs. So soO finally going to start getting some damage done. Is it enough? I guess the real question is, can he survive? Because these 4s and Hellbats are already starting to do a lot in hell, but Banelin's morphing in the back of the base. May not actually even get a chance to finish. He has a lot of SCVs are going down, sure. There's going to be a lot of drones going down here in the next few moments as well. Those Banes are getting so close to finishing, they're going to roll right into the Hellbats. That's going to help as a few Hydras starting to pop out, and soO has to just run away for the moment. A couple of Vikings being targeted down as, well, INnoVation is obviously not having a great time at home as well. Just going to be seeing that Viking also getting picked off here. Is going to see those 4s though still controlling this natural location. soO just stacking up more of these Hydralisks. The more he can get up here, the better it's going to be for him, as he's just going to get some more SCVs with those Mutalisks. I mean, the 4s coming in now, and the Vikings as well will finally be able to clean this up, as he actually starts to lose a few more Hellions of his own. The Hydra's coming down. He will be able to get rid of one of the 4s here, but I just don't think there's enough. The Hellions and Hellbats doing too much, and GG. INnoVation takes a 5-1 of donations from the Chinese viewers today, apparently. Thank you very much for that. There's some love in the chat for the donations. Continuing to roll on through as we have to the bottom right hand side here. Our red Terran player is going to be INnoVation. And to the top left hand side, the blue Zerg is soO. Throwing down a hatchery on his opponent's side of the map. Well, I mean, obviously this is one way to change it up, and when you're 5-1-5 down, maybe it is time to change it up. The one map that soO won was with that very well-hidden Roach attack, whereas INnoVation was playing just a little bit too greedy in general as well. There's definitely a bit of a build order advantage going on there for soO too. But going into map number 7, proxying the hatchery across the map, let's see what he can achieve here. As you see that hatch just coming into play, and again the spawning pool about to finish up. Back at home now. With a hatchery here, probably going to see some roaches and ravagers on the way out early on. If the Reaper expand, obviously INnoVation will get across the map, and we'll be able to see the lack of an expansion here very, very soon. As we're going to see, you see it's actually both overlords over on this side already. Yes, it's not too long of a map to go across with the OVs, but you see the Rotoron on the way, and again, this Reaper's just not going to see much at all. However, the big benefit for soO is these two Lings are going to morph very quickly, and they're going to move in towards this natural expansion so early here. They're going to start picking away at that SEV, which is just building up the command center at the moment. Rotoron is going to be finishing in just a moment or two. As again, that Reaper is pulling all the way back to start dealing with this. Haven't seen no expansion at all. INnoVation is already starting up a bunker on the high ground, so getting ready to defend against this here. See what he can get up to. As we are going to be seeing the Queen pushing forwards to fight against the Reaper, which is moving around. A grenade comes in, and obviously the Queen going to try and be part of this. The Overlord is going to be very important because they're going to be the high ground vision, which allows soO to kind of consistently attack here, deal with the bunker, corrosive bile, etc. Oh, is the CC going to finish? Wow, it just finishes in time before it's going to get delayed. That's pretty crazy, as you're going to see a Ravager morphing in, and that Queen and a couple of roaches just pushing this CC back away from the natural, where INnoVation will just, well, put it into the main base, and then you'll be able to start putting it to use. So far, Cyclone locks on and pushes this Overlord away, which means high ground vision is gone. And soO for now just going to be building up, waiting to see what he finds in the near future. Another couple of Ravagers starting to morph. He actually has quite a lot of minerals, which I guess he just now spends on another Overlord. A couple more roaches as well. When you're morphing Ravagers, it doesn't take very many minerals, but once you start building the roaches again, that's where the mineral cost of the Ravager really comes into play. 100 to get a Ravager up. There's 5 Ravagers now. Getting to that point where kind of one-shotting down a bunker becomes a bit of a possibility, and we will see the corrosive biles coming down. I mean, it's not enough to one-shot a bunker right away. You actually need the 7 Ravagers for that, but that's what these 2 extra Ravagers will be right here. Siege tank on the way up though, and that's going to start to be the issue, right? Because you're going to have to start prioritizing those corrosive biles, as there is the actually attack move as well. So he's going to get himself 5 SCVs with this. Now the siege tank comes into play. He lost 1 Ravager for this, but the next set of biles should be ready in a moment or so, and that siege tank is going to go down. Transfuse from the Queen keeps a Ravager alive a little bit longer. Continue to fight this here. There's another transfuse available. He did actually miss a transfuse, which he could have dropped on a Ravager a bit earlier. INnoVation taking a little bit of damage, but another tank on the way up, and that Ravager count is obviously taking some heavy hits as these fights continue. There's a transfuse used right now. He's going to break through that depot. Another going to be seeing a Marine picked off. Sometimes you see kind of a Ling speed coming in with this, and to kind of follow up once you break through the depot, you can then use the Ling speed to kind of flood on through. That's not going to be the case this time around. No Ling speed being built, as this Overlord does back away from the front. Again, that siege tank, that Cyclone lock-on being very effective. And now Marines and a Cyclone going across the map here as the Viking comes out to work its way through the Overlords. It might just be time for these Ravagers to just fully commit up this ramp. Another supply depot coming through as the Ravagers will want to try and break up here. There is another Overlord available, I believe, but that one's going to get taken out too. There's another one over to this side. I'm just very worried about this drop that's coming across the map because there is nothing to defend this mineral line. This is really going to put soO very all in with this push, continuing up the ramp here. He breaks down the reactor, he breaks down the depot, but again, the tanks, there's 2 of them now, and that's going to be so much damage dealt. And as INnoVation arrives over on this side, I just have to imagine that that's going to be soO tapping out of another game here in this series, as INnoVation is going to extend his lead. GG. INnoVation goes up 6-1 in the number 8. Let's see what happens. To the bottom right hand side, 6-1 lead for him in this series. I read Terran, it is INnoVation. Going up against the blue Zerg to the upper left, soO. Will there be a replay pack for these games? Asks Yusuf312 in the chat. Yes, we will have a replay pack available to subscribers. We will be sending that replay pack out to subscribers in the next couple of days. As we set up here. Hatchery on the way down on the natural. And a drone just on the way up, getting ready to take this extractor. as a hatch gas pool opening. Nice and standard here on Digital Frontier by -0 again. I feel like similar to 16-bit, one of the maps I like, just clean, simple, has some cool different colors on it to keep it a bit interesting. I feel like the one thing it maybe misses, if anything, is maybe it feels a little bit empty around the edges. Maybe it's meant to be in kind of the blackness of space, that's why it's the Digital Frontier. That's the only thing I think it's really missing, especially after being on 16-bit, I suppose, where you have all of these colorful squares and stuff. And I am just talking aesthetically as well, of course. I mean, I think in the middle of the map and so on, it looks pretty cool and awesome, so... Anyways, yeah, there's also not that much dead space anyways, right? So... Anyways, see the command center on the way up in the natural expansion. We are going to be seeing this again ready to go as we see the Overlord of soO coming on along down towards the bottom right-hand side. Yeah, spawn pool as it finishes up just allows him to start up the queens, of course. As a fairly standard map, this one. The third base can come in through this top side, or you can expand down south as well. It's, again, not too easy to take bases on, but it's not kind of super difficult either, and that's why it comes into the standard category rather than the macro or rush categories. So, yeah, really, again, just one of the most straight-up maps. There's not really too much to point out. There's kind of rocks in the center, kind of interesting, which open up different pathways, or just open up the center of the map a bit further as well. Some of you probably want to do later in the game to really be able to use this center path, and to kind of just move around in some different locations too. So, that is interesting as we see that... Reaper dealing some damage here. Those Zerglings going back behind the mineral line as the Queen coming forwards. We'll be able to keep that Reaper pushed back towards the top side. Now remember that the last time they played a nice longer macro game, that where INnoVation just sat back, soO had an amazing mid-game. He shut down every single drop. He really minimized the damage taken until about 12 to 13 minutes into play. And as he... And at 12 to 13 minutes in game, nukes started coming down, soO started to make a lot of mistakes. He looked lost in the later stages of the game, as we do see that Reaper hopping up to the high ground, and Queen there poking away at the Reaper, pushing it back through the top side, and just keeping it away from doing too much here, as it actually does come back in once again, and we're just going to be seeing the drone taking a few more shots here once again. Lings running in lilling speed. Oh, just quite, not quite being able to do enough, as we are going to see that Reaper picked off. Hatchery placed, I think misplaced though, as it's a little bit off the square. I think a little bit desperate to get it down before the Hellions. Maybe it is correct. Yeah, I actually think it is correct. I think that square is very misleading, actually. This happened to me the other day. I thought a laser had misplaced the hatchery there as well, but it was actually correct. God damn you map makers putting squares where they're not meant to be, and Alright, well we do see the Italians continuing on forwards. We see them diving in towards the mineral line. soO already pulls a few of his workers away to minimize this damage. 3 workers lost, and now it looks as though the Lings and Queens will be able to deal with the rest of the Hellions, so a good defense this time around, as the last couple of Hellions will be dropping. It's a good defense overall by soO. I mean, this was sort of how game number 4 set up. Game number 3, sorry, where soO had a good defense early. He defended well against the Hellions. He defended well against the drops as a follow-up. And it was Bio back then. It's going to be Bio here once again. INnoVation, the first time playing this after a couple of mech-based games for himself. And as we do have the Banshee on the way from INnoVation, coming over to the upper left-hand side. Cloak is on the way up, so it is going to be INnoVation looking to deal some damage with this. This time Spore Crawler's on time, and soO seems to be getting himself together just a little bit at the moment. So here we go, there's Banshee moving in towards this natural expansion. Some more of these Hellions moving up through the top, and we are just going to be seeing a couple of drones taking some more damage there. This Banshee going to get pushed away and is going to be unable to really do a lot here, as we see the Hellions dive in the third base, but there's no drones in location. Another good defense by soO just by not having units in a position they can be picked off on. And again, more of these Hellions down the right-hand side, running on away. 2 more Evo Chambers from soO, Roach Roaring as well. And again, I mean, we're back to this sort of point where the upgrades are not too far behind for soO. He is building the Roach Roaring, maybe a little bit afraid of how many Hellions he's seen. Maybe starting to think this is mech. We'll see which upgrade he starts. He starts the Bane and Nest and Hydra Den as well, though. Did he just cancel the Roach Roaring? I think he did, because I think with this Overlord, he's just seen the Engineering Bays, and having seen the Engineering Bays, he realizes that this is Bio, and so he wants to play a Ling Bane Hydra rather than the Roach-focused composition. So there's the melee upgrades, of course. I mean, expected it to be melee once the Roach Roaring got cancelled. I was just thinking that if he started missiles, it might be an indicator that he didn't quite know it was Bio and maybe was expecting mech instead. Hellions all the way down towards the bottom side, and we're just going to be seeing, well, this orbital will lift up and relocate itself onto the 6 o'clock location. Another siege tank just coming up here at the moment. Groove Spines on the way on this Hydralist Den as well. And these extra Overlords still just on the way up. Opening up the supply here as we see a couple of drones going down. Not even sure what to. There it is, the Banshee up to the top side. That's where it was. It was hidden away there. Took me a moment or so to find that on the mini-map. As we do see combat shields this time for INnoVation. Do have to remind you that actually INnoVation did forget combat shields back in that game 3 for so long that that did have an effect a little bit on his mid-game. This time he's going to start pushing up this right side. So this is a push that's looking to line up with combat shields and the 1-1 upgrades. With a lot of creep spread though in position, soO in general should be okay. I imagine the tanks will siege up on this high ground position, which will give him covering fire down to the low ground third base. And that will actually go quite a long way as we see 4 workers, 5 workers killed off by this Banshee. That's nicely done as the Ling run by will force some SCVs away. And actually he's going to get a few workers here as well. So making up for the damage that Banshee has just dealt soO. Nice little run by here as we see a few Banes ready to start pushing in. The Lings as well, and Hydras and Queens. Going to get on top of this army. The Marines though initially dealing so much damage here. Feels as though soO's just dove on this a little bit too quickly. And while doing a good job across the map, he's just losing a little bit too much right now, as he is going to pick off the tanks at least. But now these Queens are very vulnerable. The Banelings on their own are not going to be able to clean this up. And Marines and Hellions obviously going to have a pretty good time against Zerglings if they're just going to pop out a couple at a time as well. Really needs these Hydras to come on in as soO, trying to minimize the damage. If he can just hold this off, he's really not in that bad of a spot. Just needs to minimize the drones he's going to be losing as well. A couple of Hydras popping out to get some extra damage out on this. The Hellbats as they go down means the last few Marines will also drop out of this. And that is going to be a defense. So apparently this hatchery is slightly misplaced. The square is in location. Interesting. But it works actually completely fine for the gas, I guess. So I guess it's very minimal difference anyways. It doesn't look as though it's going to affect him too much here anyways, as we are going to be seeing the Marines and the Medivacs on the left side will stim on forwards. A few of these creep tumors getting picked off, and INnoVation going to start dropping around, which is what soO was so good at dealing with back on Kerasan Rift. Can he deal with it here once again? As we're going to be seeing this Queen takes a few shots of damage. A few drones dropping down. 6 workers picked off with this drop and still going down. As the Hydra's not quite able to get the Medivacs, as now they're going to lift up and go in towards this base here. I mean, I guess that's one of the powers of Digital Frontier. For a Terran player, you can jump between these bases so easily while dropping around the map. Very nicely done. 2 more Medivacs over to the left-hand side for INnoVation. As we do see soO just trying to stabilize at the moment. Does not want to give INnoVation yet another map in this series. Remember, if INnoVation wins this next game, he's on match point here in this grand final. As we are going to be seeing Marines stimming up, and they are going to hit this 4th base. But Hydras are nearby, and they should be able to jump on this, although 1 Queen lost so quickly there. As we're going to see Marines dropping in the back, we'll actually be able to get the Queen kill as well in the end anyways. Those Marines going to go down. Hydra's still pushing down this side, and again, it's going to be soO with a pretty good cleanup. Doesn't quite get the Medivacs is the only real kind of bad part about this. As we do see, continue to push down to the south, INnoVation has still got those Medivacs on the map, which will continue to kind of keep soO pinned back. Though maybe he wants to just join up together for the larger fight now, because he does have the +2/+2 upgrades finishing, and so INnoVation, it's his 2-2 timing. I mean, we talk about this maybe coming in before Hive sometimes, etc. Hive? What's that, says soO, because he doesn't have an infestation pit down yet. He's just been so distracted, in his way of dealing with the damage dealt earlier is to just kind of mass up more mid-game years to survive a little bit longer for now, but obviously it doesn't help him in the long run as he attacks in off of creep to clean up a couple of tanks in the front. We'll now pull back and try and use that creep to his advantage. The problem is no creep on this left side, means that this base is very, very exposed to the army if it keeps on pushing forward. soO going to try and set up a bit of a better concave. Tanks were unsieged here for a moment. They will siege back up now, but oh my god, the full surround comes on in. The Baneling's getting picked off, but the tanks go down pretty quickly, and we are going to be seeing the Marines having to lift up in towards those high Medivacs here. 1 tank will get picked off at the end, and soO with a good cleanup. I mean, again, finally soO is looking good, looking okay, dealing some good damage, and able to actually just clean up some bits and pieces here as those Medivacs move over to the right-hand side. A couple of Hydras trying to grab a Medivac kill, which they will manage to do. 1 Medivac left over. It wasn't a Medivac with a lot of Marines inside, but it was still a Medivac with some Marines inside, which does count for a lot here. As Hydras, Banelings, and Zerglings coming down to the south and going to get ready to push in towards this 4th base as well very, very soon. These rocks get picked off. The banelings morphing in once again right now from our Zerg player. And as we are just going to be having these banes continuing to set up here at the moment. soO, I mean, soO might just... I think soO's basically on a 2-2 all-in of his own, basically, because he hasn't gone into Hive Tech still. And the longer he delays this Hive Tech, the worse it's going to be for him. So he's just going to attack into this position right now. I mean, a defensive Terran, not too many siege tanks, though, because he lost the ones previously. May give soO the opportunity to actually break on through. He's going to get towards these 2 siege tanks before the next 2 siege tanks are done. Planetary Fortress dealing a lot of damage as well. These Hydras might want to move away from that planetary and actually join the fight down here instead. I mean, those drops in the main base, the Liberators, starting to be cleaned up over time, as INnoVation is just trying to rally his reinforcements in towards this. soO will pick away at these depots. Only Hydras at the moment here to keep on fighting, and that's going to be a bit of an issue because they will drop rather quickly, especially with SCVs tanking for the Terran player. We're going to be seeing more Lings running in, but Lings on their own are not quite going to do the job. He gets back towards the creep spread at least, but he turns to fight again, and soO is losing out on a few more of these. 12 SCVs going down, finding this drop cleaned up, and workers get back to mining in the main base, but INnoVation has held on. I mean, what went wrong for soO there in this attack? It was a good attack, it was a well thought out one. It was not a bad time to attack, but this Planetary Fortress dealt so much damage. That was a big part of this attack, basically, or defense for INnoVation, dealing with so many of these Hydras on the south side. And then in the end, maybe soO's sticking around just a little bit too long. With only Hydras, they just don't last so long. As now we're going to see INnoVation kicking into an upgrade lead once again. His final set of upgrades is finished up, and again, soO, without Hive Tech, is really limited to, as to what he can just get done here. He just has to kind of play an aggressive game, but honestly, an aggressive game isn't really kind of always going to be the answer when the Terran has an upgrade lead and so many tanks continue to roll on out. Pushing on to creep, soO's just going to counter-attack here, which could be a good way to kind of deal with this. He's going to find himself maybe a factory kill, although tank sieging up means that he's just going to continue to pull on back. Doesn't want to commit into this for all too long. He might take a chance to split up here and to turn and fight this as the tank's not here. Neither is there any medevacs. I was going to see, though, these Marines are going to be able to fight somewhat decently against the Hydras anyways. And losing Hydras just for Marines is really not great. And the power of those upgrades shines here as INnoVation cleans out those Hydras off to the right-hand side. Very nicely done by INnoVation. What a cleanup. As we're going to be seeing 5 more banelings on the way up. Lanebane Hydra Force just still coming out from soO. Again, he's essentially all in. I mean, it sounds weird to say it off of 4, 5, 6 bases. But if he doesn't win, he didn't win the game with his Lanebane Hydra before. He's not going to win it now as the tech or unit count gets better for the Terran. The upgrades are there now too. And his own tech's just so stationary. There's a reason Zerg players tech up in these games. They don't sit on lair-based tech forever. In this game, soO, he tried to do it just because he thought that was his best chance to win after taking damage earlier, but it's not quite worked out, as this position is brutal as well. If those tanks sieged up, those Hydras to the top side are not going to stand much of a chance at all. Those are going to continue getting cleaned up, and that's GG, as INnoVation takes game 8, and he is at a 7 against soO. To the bottom right-hand side, our red Zerg player, it is soO. And to the top left, our blue Terran player, is INnoVation. So game 9. It's not very often you get to say game 9 as a caster. I mean, even if you had a best of 9 or something crazy, a game 9 would be a little bit crazy. Hanzu Forest is my wife. Thank you so much for the $1 donation too. I think the Chinese stream is having a little bit of fun, having a little bit of a battle over donations today. They do this sometimes, the Chinese stream, the SE Boy stream. They like to troll each other, the casters, a lot, and they tell them to donate to the to the English stream to show some support, but also to call each other out a little bit via the English stream. It's kind of funny. So thank you to all those guys who continue to support. As we do go into, again, game 9 here, waiting to see what the setup is on our Tanner, mapped by Iron Man, as we set up in toward this hatchery coming down on the natural expansion, and just going to be seeing the map in general. I like this map. This really did, over the first few days, give us some of the best maps of the tournament, or best games of the tournament, I feel. Hopefully, some more of the same here this time around between soO and INnoVation. At this point, if soO was able to make a return in this game, by the way, if he won 7 maps in a row, I would be absolutely, like, that would be the comeback of the century. Can you imagine soO, grand finals, just turns around and wins 7 maps in a row to beat INnoVation? That would be so freaking sick. I can't even begin to explain. As we do see this Reaper coming down at the bottom right. Again, $50 to be won per map. So even if soO doesn't win this game and the series is decided, the rest of the maps will be played to determine the rest of the prize pool and how it's going to be distributed. As you see that Reaper pulling away from those few Zerglings. We're just going to be seeing the drones there as well to continue pushing that Reaper back, or to take some shots. They can become spore crawlers if required. As we wait to see what the build's going to be. Again, INnoVation, not one to go for the fast free CC, always enjoys getting the starport up, and that's going to be no different here this time around. He sets up to build a tech lab right away, basically, as the factory will drop onto the reactor. Barracks moves upwards, and the Marine actually gets an Overlord kill in the early stage of the game. What a pickoff. And again, I know we keep mentioning the $50 per map, but again, if you win the series, you get $1,000, and you get $750 for second place. So it's $750 plus $50 per map won for second, and it's $1,000 plus $50 per map won for first. 2 Hellions and a Reaper here from INnoVation gathering up just outside of the natural expansion. Armory is on the way down. As a medevac comes up, we'll see if soO's going to find himself the defense this time around to be able to deal with this here. As that tech lab about halfway done, the Overlord continued back down towards the bottom right, and a couple of Zerglings of soO can be moving off and away over to the left-hand side. So as INnoVation sets up here, that armory is halfway done. It means that the Hellbats are going to be here very shortly, and again with the medevac, looks as though we're going to be seeing maybe a drop of Hellbats into the main, while also some hit at the front, just like we saw back on 16-bit. Couple maps ago. Very similar setup there to that game number, I think it was game number 7, 16-bit. As we do have Zerglings coming up to the top side, and while those first Hellions getting ready to get picked up, there's actually not Hellions on the map to come in at the front, so it's just the Hellbat drop in the main. I mean, there is more Hellions being built, so there's a possibility of a follow-up there. As we do have Cloak on the way up on the starport, the Banshee is just over halfway done, and those Hellions starting to unload in the main base. They're going to be running in towards the mineral line in the next couple of moments. Queen takes some damage. Just going to be seeing the Hellions now do morph into Hellbats there. The medevac healing this Hellbat up. And you see the Queens starting to pull back in towards this mineral line. And yeah, and the Hellbats just continue to chase down and do a little bit more damage. First Queen goes down here. Zerglings continue to pop out and get picked off right away. soO already not very good of a situation as more Hellbats now arriving over in that natural expansion, or the third base I should say. And these Hellbats are starting to overrun. I mean, the Lings come in for a surround over here, and they will get rid of a couple of them, but there's 2 more arrived already, and I mean, these Queens, I guess, are transfuse available on one of them, actually on both, and they will trade transfusions to keep each other alive here. One Hellbat super low on the top side will go down in the main. The Queen went down, and mining time has been denied, but, well, I mean, soO's holding on. He'll clean up these units. They will end up falling. So the Hellbats in the main are the biggest issue still, though, because with the medevac here, they're probably just not going to go down. As our Russian caster is going to disconnect from our game. A few moments, and we're going to be off and away into this game once again. Let's continue on along. So dropping on down, and obviously soon a bit of a tough scenario here. If those Lings haven't continued to fall, I mean, INnoVation's already in a great spot, and I get the feeling there's also not Spore Crawlers up, so when the Cloak Banshees arrive in a moment or two, it's going to be a bit of an issue. As we jump back into this, we drop our Russian caster, and the game resumes. Well, here's the Banshees, and again, without Spore Crawlers, there's just no defense here, and that is going to be GG. INnoVation takes... Let's go straight on in So one of the issues here is that if INnoVation keeps winning, we can't actually set the score to go above 8 or above 9 on the scoreboard. So soO, if you want to start running right about now, that would be brilliant in terms of keeping our score correct. As we have to the bottom right hand side, opening 12 pool here on Cyberus Relay Station. It is soO. And to the top left, it is going to be our red Terran, INnoVation. So soO back into some aggression here, this time with the 12 pool, probably into the double gas for the Ravager rush as we get set up into this in the next few moments. So, getting this ready to go. Couple of extractors on the way down here, as we do just have Overlord moving into the middle of the map, and the aggression gets ready to rumble. Now, what will INnoVation build up with here this time around? He showed us a great defense against a proxy hatchery back on Dreamcatcher. And of course, we can also see the if he's going to have a similar defense this time around, it'll be a little bit different. I mean, it's the same sort of idea, though. You get a bunker up initially, you get the tank up behind it, and eventually you start to kind of defend from there, as it is a completely all-in build from soO, because he isn't going to have a hatchery to mine from, as this shorter rush distance map start coming into play right now with those two Zerglings coming in towards the upper left-hand side. Now, Roach Run is about to finish, so the Roaches will start to build up here from soO. There's 2 Roaches already on the way, and again, a lot of this is going to be gas which is being mined and not extra minerals, because he's going to want to morph in pretty much every single one of his Roaches into Ravagers here. Now, this is a Reaper opening. The map's so short that the Lings are going to have to sit here for just a moment or two to wait for the Reaper to move across. And as the Reaper does start to move out, INnoVation will have to start dealing with these 2 Zerglings. Now, he goes into Marine follow-up, which will help him here to keep the SCV alive, and also allows him to keep the Reaper across the map for a moment or two longer to just confirm the lack of a natural. Oh, but he turns around, so he doesn't know exactly what this is just yet, and actually the SCV is so low, it may very well fall. 1 hit from death, and gets chased down, and it's an SCV kill to start from soO, as now we're going to be seeing his Ravagers going to start moving across the map, held back by this Ravager morphing on the ramp. Small mistake there by him, as you're going to see these Lings going to split up, pull the Reaper away. I mean, the longer he keeps the Reaper on this upper left side, the better is. Oh, look at INnoVation, though. He doesn't even need to scout it, and he sort of just knows already, as we are going to be seeing that bunker going to be finishing up in just a couple of moments. So bunker going to be finishing as the Cyclone on the way out in the main base as well. You're just going to be seeing this Ravager able to come in and, well, is now for sure seen by soO. I mean, by INnoVation, sorry. I mean, in fairness, though, when you come up as the CC will just cancel, there's not a lot here. You know, the first bunker only has 1 single Marine in it so far. He's actually going to start corrosive battling down the reactor. I don't mind that so much, actually. It's going to be some decent damage. He's going to supply block INnoVation as well by picking off the supply depot. So only going to be 1 Cyclone in the bunker here for the moment. There's that Overlord there for the high ground vision. The Cyclone will look to lock on to get rid of the high ground vision, forcing the Cyclones to actually have to pull up the ramp before dealing damage. Now, these corrosive bars are a little bit kind of unstacked at the moment, which means they're not all lining up together. Another Ravager coming across and a few more Roaches in production. Another Overlord will have to come up here as well, and there it is on its way right now. There's that Overlord being tagged away at once again too. Starport on the way up is INnoVation. Essentially, if he gets a Banshee up here, we'll have that defense pretty much confirmed, as it's going to be another small supply block now. INnoVation does have depots already on the way up though, so replacing those which he's already losing at the front. Again, those Ravagers, just a few more corrosive bars and a little bit of aggression on towards those Cyclones there as well. The reactor from earlier in the game will go down. I'm just not sure what soO does here. I guess with a couple of Roaches coming up, he will begin to get ready to push up the ramp perhaps. You know, with the Roaches, he's going to have the ability to actually, you know, tank a little bit more, because the Ravagers aren't very tanky, but the Roaches are. And I think you just have to go up the ramp right now and to try and break this right away. I think if you wait any longer, it's just not going to work out. He does have the 6 Ravagers, which is just not quite enough to actually deal with the bunker here, but with the attack command, it will be able to take it down. One of the Cyclones falls, but I think it's just too much from INnoVation. I mean, just building the bunker in preparation so early on is going to be fantastic for him here, because that's GG, and INnoVation improves his score to 9-1.